Well, it's hard to believe that our time together is coming to a close, but I'm thrilled to introduce our final lecture of the day from Sarah Brokenborough, who's a PhD candidate in art history and Latin American studies with Tulane University. And Sarah will be presenting Deciphering an Early American Cypher Book.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So my paper, Deciphering an Early American Cypher Book. On August 5th, 1834, a 40-year-old plantation owner named Willie Bunting returned to the pages of his childhood cipher book and skillfully inscribed his first and last name, followed by the title Esquire. This distinction emphasized his social status as a landowner in Nash County, North Carolina. Revisiting the ruled pages that once trained his hand and mind for agricultural trade, he reaffirmed his ownership and continued use of the book. By studying this particular cipher book used by Bunting between 1807 and 1834, we can better understand how his math education helped sustain the region's plantocracy, a society where wealthy plantation owners held power through their control of land, crops, and enslaved labor. Cipher books are also commonly known as ciphering books, copybooks, math books, journals, exercise books, workbooks, or notebooks. They are handwritten manuscripts that contain math problems, diagrams, illustrations, and explanations. Willie Bunting dated most of his math exercises from 1807 to 1808. And his book contains only one full-page illustration, which is also dated to 1807. On the back of the illustration, there are family records that list his children's birth dates, and the last entry dates to 1816. The pages are bound together with a cotton thread, but after years of use, they are now separated from their soft leather covers. Scholars Nerita Ellerton and Ken Clements note that most arithmetic teachers were also expected to double as writing teachers. As a result, most parents expected to see neat handwriting, especially since high-quality penmanship was regarded as a sign of a well-educated person. Additionally, many readers may not have been able to verify students' answers, and so the cipher book needed to look good to convey its authority and utility. For example, most cipher books feature a large cursive script for each section's title. However, Willie Bunting's cipher book has much more elaborate titles. Interestingly, the person who drew the subtraction heading also used the same decorative elements for William Healy's portrait. Willie's cipher book also includes a multiplication table bordered in yellow watercolor to emphasize its importance. Above it, Willie recreated a portion of the table using individually dotted squares arranged within two thread-like loops to show off his penmanship skills. Other cipher books, like this one by David Kingsley in Massachusetts, have similar illustrations that feature a series of dots made using the tip of a quill pen. David Kingsley signed every single page, sometimes 2, 3, or 4 times. Although David did not date his drawing, he clearly showed that he was the author by writing, "David Kingsley made the house." On the other hand, the illustration in Willie Bunting's cipher book is dated but not signed. Both drawings contain the same stippling effect to convey a shaded background, similar to early 19th century engravings. But more importantly, each illustration makes the overall manuscript look more visually appealing. Scholars Nerita Ellerton and Ken Clements also note that some teachers not only ruled the pages of their students' ciphering books, but also wrote the headings, often using elaborate calligraphy. Therefore, it may not be possible to determine whether Willie Bunting, William Healy, or some other student made the illustration or headings. But we do know that Willie Bunting later returned to the specific page to record his family's birth dates and amend his own. The portrait of William Healy, nestled between the Bunting family's records, also includes a detailed biography, which reads, "William Healy, son to James Healy and Elizabeth, his wife, was born March the 25th, 1752, sailed from the harbor of Galway, June the 4th, 1774, in the brigantine Betsy, and landed in Baltimore September 1st the following. There's an additional passage underneath that notes that William Healy was born on Abbey Lane in Loughrea, Ireland. Yet even with all of this detailed biographical data, William Healy remains an elusive figure. He is not listed as a schoolmaster at any of the neighboring institutions, such as Raleigh School or Fayetteville Academy, nor are there any land grants for North Carolina that list his name. He was an itinerant teacher who took up lodging in Nash County and worked as a school teacher during the early 19th century. After the Tuskara War ended in 1750 with the defeat of the Tuskara and their Algonquian allies, more British and Irish colonists migrated to North Carolina, meaning William Healy's decision to relocate from Ireland to Baltimore and then Nash County was not entirely unprecedented. Much about William Healy remains a mystery. However, the Bunting's family's history is much more heavily documented and cared for within the state's archives. The family records written in the Willie Bunting Cypher book directly correspond with a set of records written in his family Bible, which entered the North Carolina State Archives in 1903. The family Bible was made and published in 1829, which means that some records were likely transcribed from the Cypher book to the family Bible. The family Bible also includes several family members' death dates, including Willie's, which reads, Willie Bunting died February 25th, 1862. By cross-referencing the birth dates in the family Bible and the Cypher book, I can confidently say that Willie Bunting possessed this book from age 19 to at least 50. For instance, the family Bible states that Willie Bunting's son, Charles H. Cornell Bunting, was born on May 17, 1838. And on the right, we can see that the initials CHC Bunting are written in pencil in the Cypher book when Willie Bunting was at least 15 years old. Both the Cypher book and the family Bible continue to serve as historical documents that situate the Bunting family and their descendants in Nash County, North Carolina. The county was founded in 1777 and named after General Francis Nash, who served under George Washington and died in the Revolutionary War. Willie's father, William Bunting, had also served in the Revolutionary War as part of the 7th Connecticut Regiment. His military service record lists both spellings of his name, as does Willie's Cypher book. On December 9, 1778, William Bunting requested a parcel of land in Nash County, and 11 months later, the state issued him a land tract for 640 acres. We still don't know exactly where the Bunting estate was, but because the land survey's description mostly relied on neighboring property lines. However, the land grant contains a key geographic marker that can help situate the family within the shifting landscape of early Nash County. William Bunting paid 16 pounds for a tract of land that started on the south side of the Saponi Creek, which ultimately feeds into the Tar River. Similar to many of his neighbors, his military service and political allegiance to the early American Republic strengthened his land claim. By the time Willie Bunting began to lie in his Cypher pages, his father had already firmly established the family's ties to Nash County. And so Willie's Cypher book takes on a larger meaning, as it not only showcases his training and neat penmanship, but his ability to support the region's plantocracy by facilitating trade between neighboring landowners. In 1834, Willie Bunting chose to write his signature on a page of his Cypher book alongside a written explanation and example for an equation of payments. This particular math formula could be used to combine multiple debts into one lump sum payment. Willie used the formula to calculate a 6% interest on a single 500-pound payment. And the math checks out. The added interest amounts to 15 pounds and 15 shillings, which he wrote at the very bottom of the page. However, it is also important to know why Willie Bunting needed to return to the specific math formula on August 5th, 1834. Later that year, his father's obituary appeared in a local newspaper, stating that William Bunting died on December 1st, 1834, at his estate in Nash County. As the executor, Willie Bunting prepared his father's estate inventory, which spanned over 10 handwritten pages, and then oversaw the estate sale on December 24th, 1834. Many of the materials in Willie Bunting's Cypher book also appear in his father's estate inventory, such as barrels of wheat and brandy. While some scholars suggest that the exercises in Cypher books are more aspirational than practical, Willie Bunting's lived experiences demonstrate that he worked with many of the agricultural products and math formulas that he practiced with as a child. These were not just school exercises to show friends and family, but a reference manual that could help him manage real debt and assets. Willie also made sure to note the differences between plantation tools. For example, he listed weeding hoes separately from plot hoes and grub hoes, which demonstrated his understanding of their different functions for tobacco cultivation, in effect showcasing that he was well suited to manage a rural plantation. But also recorded amongst the various goods was a child. Listed on the estate inventory between a barrel of brandy and bushels of wheat, Willie Bunting wrote, quote, "one Negro boy," unquote. He viewed this particular child of African descent as a piece of property, no different from the various lots of agricultural goods that once belonged to his father. On the estate sales account ledger, Willie notes that he purchased Henry for 150 pounds. Although his Cypher book did not explicitly refer to enslaved persons, he was well prepared to pay for an enslaved child on 6 months' credit. The bill of sale directly mirrors a scenario referenced in the example for the equation of payments, where Willie needed to calculate the interest for 250 pounds due in 6 months at an interest rate of 6%. All of the other men and women listed as buyers were also buying on credit, and they all would have used the equation of payments to calculate their debts for the various lots of goods they purchased at the estate sale. In other words, they used their math education to navigate a system of credit and debt and acquire more property. Additionally, by the time Willie Bunting purchased and enslaved Henry, he had already held others in bondage. The most recent census at the time clearly shows that Willie Bunting held 2 enslaved boys, 2 enslaved girls, and 1 enslaved woman in captivity. Willie Bunting used the book's final pages to record a series of accounts or business contracts with other landed elites in Nash County, North Carolina. One record notes that Willie Bunting entered into an account with Joel Battle, one of the founders of the Rocky Mount Cotton Mill in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. The cotton mill opened in 1818, processed raw cotton from nearby plantations, and produced a wide variety of textiles such as tobacco twine, cotton yarn, and later on uniforms for Confederate soldiers, all using enslaved labor until 1852. Willie bought a number of goods from Joel Battle, including 7 hilling hoes, as well as 7 axes, sugar, iron, coffee, chocolate, and durance, which was a textile used for upholstery. During the 19th century, hilling hoes were largely handled by enslaved laborers. Historian Seth Rockman notes that although racial categories were inconsistently applied to goods intended for enslaved people, they were almost never used for agricultural tools. Therefore, it is very likely that Willie Bunting purchased these hilling hoes and axes and forced the enslaved people on his estate to use them. Willie's account ledger also lists a variety of other textiles, like coating, which was used for outerwear, as well as calico, linen, and sheeting. Although Willie did not purchase any Negro cloth, which was produced at Joel Battle's cotton mill, he may have purchased these other fabrics for his enslaved laborers to work with or wear. Willie Bunting and Joel Battle's familiarity and access to such a variety of materials speaks to the increased availability of goods in Nash County during the first half of the 19th century. Joel Battle's cotton mill attracted trade, and the town of Rocky Mount developed around it. The mill transformed North Carolina's cotton textile production and regional trade routes, and Willie Bunting appears to have benefited as well. In conclusion, Willie Bunting's Cypher and record book provides a carefully preserved account of his lived experiences in early North Carolina. These book's pages are full of references to neighbors, life events, family births, and deaths. And his descendants are known to have cherished the book as well as the portrait of his schoolteacher, William Healy. Part textbook, part ledger, and part family archive, this Cypher and record book provides an unusual opportunity to examine the life of a plantation owner's son in Nash County, North Carolina. The book is an important historical record that reveals how children were taught to manage land, labor, and debt. It shows how important math education was not just for managing a plantation worked by enslaved people, but also for maintaining social ties with neighboring plantation owners. It also offers a glimpse into how math education shaped and supported systems of power in newly formed towns and counties in the U.S. South. I would like to say thank you, really quickly, to the curators, instructors, and staff at the Mesda Summer Institute, Kate Rogers, Katie McKinney at the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation, Andrea Immel at the Kotzen Children's Library at Princeton University, and Marianne Heckles at Lancaster History, as well as all of the other Summer Institute fellows for all of their support. Thank you.